We'll open the Board of Selectmen meeting for December 6th, 2022, and we'll open with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, first item on the agenda is introduction of a.
Okay, so very excited to have with us Maggie Gunderson. So she just started yesterday as our new Director of Elder and Social Services. So that would be a great opportunity for her to introduce herself to the board as well as the community. So I'd like to take the hot seat and just a brief introduction.
And on camera?
Sort of.
Try to keep it to 10 minutes or less.
Someone press the button when you want to eject me.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, thank you all for having me. And secondly, thank you for selecting me as your new director. I've been to the facility a couple of days now, great staff, and a wonderful sense of excitement for the new building that's going on. So a little bit about myself. I have a long history in the senior center business. Have you guys read my resume? Did all you see all the sense? Okay. So about 6 years in Franklin, before that about 3 years at Norfolk Senior Center. And I also worked a lot at the state level for the Massachusetts Association of Senior Centers, which answers to the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. So I worked on housing committees and different subcommittees to address economic insecurity, housing insecurity, and dementia-friendly opportunities in communities throughout the state. Okay, and is that good?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Maggie. Welcome.
Welcome to Upton. I had the pleasure of meeting Maggie at the Senior Center walkthrough.
Excellent. Let us know if there's ever anything we can do for you. Great.
You already have a list?
We've got a couple of minutes before our public hearings. Anything else we want to kill a couple of minutes with, or we can sort of
Technically, this is on the line. His two items should be fairly quick, and then we could go into the public hearing.
Okay, great. Dennis, you want to run us through a couple things here?
Good evening.
Good evening, Dennis.
Good evening.
Which one first, Mr. Chairman?
Whichever one you want. Right here, I see on the top of the list the declaration of surplus vehicles.
Sure. So we have two pieces of equipment in DPW that we have authorization from town meeting to replace. One of them is a 10-wheeler dump truck, and the other one is a 6-wheel 1-ton dump truck for the cemetery department. We had ordered the 10-wheel dump truck some time ago, and then, of course, we ran into the same problem that everybody else ran into in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, where they had actually stopped producing trucks for the better part of a year. They would not honor any orders. In fact, they canceled over 280 orders in Massachusetts, and we were one of them. So we were able to work our way back in to get back on the roster again and get a truck built. And the only difference is that, of course, now we're not talking about a 22 truck, a 2023 truck. We're talking about a 2024 truck. It would actually be ready between September and November or December of next year. And of course, the prices have changed. So we had always anticipated getting rid of the older trucks that we're replacing. And in lieu of the extra money, I think it's actually going to be financially more productive for the town to trade the vehicles in rather than auction them off. And I had our mechanic do some polling around to see about what the trucks were going for in the auctions and what we thought we could get for the trucks. And then, of course, we asked the competitive bidders that are on the state bid list to give us a price on trading them in. And they actually offered us $25,000 for the 10-wheeler, which is in pretty sad shape. And we had estimated somewhere between 10 and 12 grand at an auction. And to keep in mind now, this won't happen for another year. So this dealership is guaranteeing us this price. And we're going to run this truck right through this winter and all of spring, summer, and fall and still capture that price. And so I have a quote for them. Of course, they're on the state bid list. And with the additional $25,000, we can make the truck work without having to go back to town floor for more appropriation. And so it's my recommendation that we would declare the truck surplus regardless, that in lieu of an auction that we trade it in.
Makes sense to me. Questions?
None.
You good?
Yeah, especially there's the 1 year lag time. You know, we're basically looking about a year forward till we take delivery. And as far as the spec of the 2024 truck, Dennis, is that pretty much the same spec truck as what we had in the article? I know you said some things changed, pricing obviously changed, but the make of the truck, GVW, front axle weight, all that stuff about the same?
All of that is the same, Steve. The only thing that changed is the design of the truck. They did away with, if you look at, and you're very familiar with this, they did away with the common sharp nose internationals that we have, the 6-wheelers that we have in stock today that you see, and they have replaced them with a little heavier duty looking, but they're not heavier duty. They're the same engines, different tier, but the same horsepower. Cummins 430 horse, and the same 66,000 GVW. Everything else is the same, but they're boxier looking. So they look a little more square and old school. But that is their replacement truck for international. The ones that we have been purchasing, they no longer manufacture.
Okay. So the 7400 International, the 05, you want to trade that one forward, but you want a surplus, the 2006 Chevy Silverado?
Oh, I want to trade that one as well towards the 1-ton dump in the same fashion. So if you recall, this is for the cemetery vehicle, and we spec this vehicle out just like all of our highway trucks for 1-ton dumps. And of course, the same problem happened with this that happened with the larger trucks. And they had a delay in accepting the order, and then they completely canceled the order. Now they'll reinstate it, but the truck is a little more expensive. And we may have to pull back on some of our specifications. For instance, the stainless steel dump body, I don't believe we're going to be able to afford that. We'll probably have to do a conventional steel body like the other cemetery truck. If you recall, our 2 highway 1-tons are stainless. They are the only ones in the fleet that are. And with the extra money for trading that truck in, I believe that we can afford the new cemetery 1-ton dump without additional appropriation. This truck, the cab and chassis, is already built. So this truck is only a couple of months away from us.
And did you have a rough idea of what the trade-in value is on the 06?
I don't. They're coming down, Steve, this week to look at it. I couldn't get them in time. I got the big truck in, but I couldn't get them in time for the pickup.
Presumably that trade-in is obviously still going to be more than what you get at auction, just given the market.
Yes. Yeah. And my mechanic is very confident in that.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Yeah. I move Board of Selectmen vote to declare 2 vehicles, a 2005 International 7400 and a 2006 Chevy Silverado as surplus equipment for the purpose of disposal by auction or trade-in, depending on the greater value.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you. Next, we will open up the public hearing for the common victualler license for Imperial Gas. So let me read that. In conformity with Chapter 140 of the General Laws, notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held on December 6, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. Town Hall, 1 Main Street, 2nd floor. The public hearing is being held upon the request of Imperial Gas Upton, LLC, 8 Uxbridge Road, Mendon, Mass. For the purposes of obtaining a common victular license at 44 Milford Street.
Good evening, John Denot. I'm the company's engineer. We have a couple gas stations. This would be our second gas station. We're currently permitting a third gas station in Milford, and we have plans for a fourth gas station in Mendon. The site is already built. We do have some plans for renovations of the exterior of the building, eliminating the second floor and raising up the ceiling inside to give it a more open feeling. I don't know if any of you have been to our store in Mendon. It's more of a country store feel than a basic convenience. We also have plans to re-landscape the site, seal the parking lot, clean it up, new lines, new landscaping. I brought a few pictures of our store in Mendon. I could just, and like I said, it's more of a country store. It would be the same. The store inside would be the same lines as this. We're going to raise the ceiling so we can, of course, begin put our shelves across with our knickknacks. The current store, we sell a lot of local products. We sell local honey, local maple syrup. In the summertime, we have local produce, local blueberries. The Mendon store has a stand out front that has local vegetables that we actually grew for a few years at 133 North Ave, a farm that we own there. But we also buy from local farmers and stuff. We have a large penny candy section, if any of you have not been to the store. We also, unlike a lot of other convenience stores, we do have a hardware section that has nuts, bolts, common stuff you use around the house. So if you're working, you don't have to run to Home Depot or Lowe's. You can, I use it all the time. I don't live far from the store. And I'm working and stuff. I just have a few more photos. We have toys. We have a lot of old fashioned toys, stuff that I had when I was a kid. It's kind of unique, stuff you never see in a store anymore. I go there all the time for my grandkids and pick up stuff. And then we have regular convenience store items. We have the coolers with all the sodas, milk, bread. So the store is basically going to stay a convenience store with a more country store feel. More produce. We sell pumpkins in the fall outside and stuff like that. And we do have plans. We do have an architect on interior design plans and exterior design plans now. They weren't done for this meeting, or I would have brought them. So we will be pulling a building permit to do those renovations. And that's basically it. We're asking for the transfer of the license. We haven't closed on the property yet. Part of the closing agreement was that we have to obtain this permit before we close on the property. So we're waiting to close on the property until we get this permit. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Great.
I have a question.
Could you give me just one second?
Hold on, please. Will.
Yeah, great. I was just going to ask you, it's not really pertinent to the transfer, but you're planning on actually carrying about the same type of country store?
Yes.
The old toys and a lot of those things at this location?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to set it up pretty. So that's kind of going to be our model moving forward. It's more of a gas station with country store than just a gas station with convenience store. So we do plan on bringing that stuff into the store and changing the interiors.
Any plans for an addition?
Not right now. The site is pretty tight. Speaking on the engineering side, I've looked at it. The site's surrounded by wetlands. Your new wetlands bylaw wouldn't allow us really to even do what's there now. So we probably kind of have to stay inside the footprint that we're at. We're planning on replacing the coolers that are there with more modern coolers. Like I said, probably eliminating the second floor and the stairway that's inside to get more room. Probably put some beams across to open that up, and then shelving around the outside for our display items.
Awesome. No, I think that's great. I'll take this as a probably once in a lifetime opportunity to make a pitch. You sound like you're the guy for this. Those local t-shirts that are like an Upton, Mass t-shirt with all the little attractions and little things like that. I see them around. I've seen them in Hopkinton and I see Whitensville.
Perfect for our store.
Love it. Get those in there. I will be a dedicated and loyal customer. I love that stuff. I think people in the town would love it. Again, like Steve, welcome to local government. Has nothing to do with your application for the license, but I had to mention it.
I would
Seize the opportunity.
So my oldest daughter was going to school in Scotland, and she got home and she wanted to send postcards out. We actually have mended postcards.
Awesome.
So we
Love
will
it.
have updated postcards.
Love it.
also.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, that's cool. Great. Go ahead, please.
You kind of touched on one of the questions that I had, I know Gasco was built right in the wetland swamp.
Yeah.
Way back before, we knew better. So I was just wondering if you were going to stay in that footprint and
Yes.
the kind of plantings and things that you're going to do are those.
So if you drive by our, like the dealership sites, we usually do individual lining islands with planting and it'll be the similar. We use the same landscaper. He kind of has that style for us on all our sites. So you can take a look at that. I wish I had pictures, but I don't.
I just also, I can't remember what year they repaved and did some things at Gasco and the pavement, it just kind of dumps into the.
Yes,
the
it's
wet.
got two sweats.
And the house at 40, my old neighbor said it was like somebody turned a faucet on into this basement. So I just, wanted to know if you're going to be sensitive to that. It's also home of the four-toed salamander that I mentioned, that species of concern. So it sounds like a nice improvement. I was just wondering, I'm also a master gardener. By certification, green infrastructure, drainage and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just curious. I was just curious what was going to happen.
So of course, if we did any changes to the site, we would have to come through site plan review.
Yeah.
So the reason we haven't considered doing any changes to the site itself is because of the new wetland bylaws in Upton. And once we started to do, if we did a major renovation or made the building, at first we were saying, oh, maybe we can make the building, expand on the building. But after looking at it, I don't think we can do that. So we're going to try to work just with what's there, work on the interior of the space. We're probably going to do stone on the side. I don't know. I didn't have a picture of the outside. I wish I did. But we have a field stone facade on our stores in the front. So we'll do that, but right now, there's no plans on doing any additional site work on the site.
Is 40 Milford Street going to be part of this?
I believe it's 44.
Oh, okay.
I think is the address.
Yeah, I think it's only 44.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the yellow house, which is.
No.
Yeah.
It's a very tight, like I said, it's a very tight site.
Yeah.
You're right, the wetlands circle, the entire parking lot, there's a bank that goes down to the
Yeah.
wetlands. And we're not planning on expanding or anything. We probably won't even repave it, it'll probably be a seal.
Anything else?
What is the square footage of the retail space?
I believe it's right around 2,300 square feet.
2300. Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions on the phone? Oh,
Just your name again. Sorry, I didn't catch it. My name is Ann Swaza. Suazo. Yeah. Thank you.
I made a note that you're a master gardener. If you have a card, leave me your card. Love me a good master gardener.
You wouldn't know looking at my.
Look at what you designed.
I put myself in college with produce stands and
Yeah.
grew hydroponic tomatoes for 5 years also, so
Love it.
that's why we have local produce.
Yeah. Love it. Good stuff. Okay, great. Well, I will take a motion if there's no other questions.
Anything else, Martin?
No,
Okay.
all set.
All right. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the common vicular license submitted by Imperial Gas Upton LLC for 44 Milford Street, Upton.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations and
Very good.
hey. Let us know if you need anything.
All right.
We're here for you.
My father and his brothers ran that gas station from 1964 to 1970.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's it. I recognize the game now.
Yeah, it was Chogi's Sales and Service back then.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, way back in the day. Yeah, it was a gas station back in the 50s because it was an established gas station in
Yeah.
1964.
Yeah.
So they have,
I didn't really know that. I thought it got built, but then when I was looking at the plan, I'm like, this would have never been allowed unless there's something on it. All right, thank you very
See you
much.
later. Thank you.
yeah, they had quite a few cars parked there as well. We have an old picture and it's got to be 25 cars laying on the side. It was all dirt back then.
Pretty cool. Great. I will close the public hearing for the victular license. And we will open the public hearing for the poll hearing once I get to that. Is there a motion in here for that?
Yes.
Which page? Or like the opening the hearing?
I don't have a motion for opening.
I'll just open the public hearing then.
I have a motion right here.
Yeah, no, I know. That's just the preamble that we read to open the public hearing.
Public hearing
It has something like that, but I don't think that's the public hearing.
notice. Public hearing notice.
Yeah.
It's the same, isn't it, as the public hearing on fiction? Oh, even though they have to.
Nope, it's a different hearing.
National Grid and stuff.
It's a different hearing, yeah. I mean, I don't think I'll use this. Here we go. Because the general laws are probably different, right?
Yes. I can grab the public notice.
I don't think it's not in the packet.
Must be one of the town clerk's office.
There's nothing I love more than legalese and administration of public meeting law.
Are you gonna do which one first, 74 or?
Whichever one is first on the agenda. I don't have.
I think 74 is in the workup.
I've got 74 and 92. So yeah, I don't know if we need to do. I think we can do one poll hearing, maybe for both or.
Yes. Yes, because the notice was for both.
Both. Great.
I just have to go, I'm just going into my own files again.
Yeah, no problem. We'll find it.
There'd be something, I don't see the legalese, but would that upper paragraph work?
This one here.
Yeah, right here.
No, because
That's the X.
it's the Mass General Law stuff. To be able to read. Yeah, exactly.
You know, just, see it.
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, here we go. Please be advised that the Board of Selectmen will be reviewing the petitions of Massachusetts Electric Company and Verizon New England, Inc. As they request permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way: Hopkinton Road, National Grid to install one JO pole on Hopkinton Road, beginning at a point approximately 415 feet southwest of the center line of the intersection of Cider Mill Lane and Hopkinton Road, and continuing approximately 20 feet in a northwest direction. Removing existing stub pole number 30-84 from 74 Hopkinton Road and install a new 35-foot C2 stub pole number 30-84 with anchor and guide to support existing pole number 30. Hopkinton Road, National Grid to install one JO pole and remove one JO pole on Hopkinton Road and install a new 35-foot pole and anchor number 37-2 across from P37 for underground service to number 92 Hopkinton Road at 7:10 p.m. on Tuesday, December 6th, 2022 at Town Hall, Upton Town Hall, 1 Main Street. And who do we have on the phone from the utility?
Michael Frazier?
Mr. Frazier or someone on the phone about the poll hearing? We're ready to start when you are.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, this is Thomas Carley. I'm here to talk about the polls if you guys need information. Michael Frazier's also here as a backup. This is my first petition in Upton, so.
Great. Well, welcome and thank you. Questions? Let us take a look at some of the details here and see if folks have questions. What is the reason for the poll changes?
So 74, just get my notes here. So 74 is technically going in as an asset replace. There is an existing stub pole on the property that is dilapidated, and I don't think it's going to last very much longer. So I think when the original designer went out there, they talked about some options. I think the customer did not want the stub pole replaced on his property, so we're asking to move it to the street. And then 92 is a residential service upgrade, so they're moving the service on one side of the house to the other, and then they're going to go south and to that pole.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. And I see that pole that's moving out of 74 to the road, so I'm sure they're happy about that. That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
And the line actually runs across the street, so they're basically just pulling that in to the roadside, according to the map.
Which one's this, 74?
That's, 74 Hopkinton Road, pole 30-84.
Yep. So, yeah, we're going to go across the street and then a service drop to the property itself.
Okay, so that pole was to service that particular property?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's really quite straightforward. I reviewed it a little bit earlier. I'm looking at it again. I don't have any issues with it.
No. Good. No. Okay. I will entertain a motion.
Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve National Grid's request to erect new poles in the vicinity of 74 and 92 Hopkinton Road in accordance with the petition dated October 12th and 25th, 2022.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. I will close the public poll hearing. Department updates. We did the declaration of surplus vehicles. Let's talk about the salt contract. Mr. Westgate, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Every year we do several cooperative bids with communities around us. One of them for fuel, and another one is de-icing materials. And this year, we're asking that the town manager enter in a contract with the suppliers, so that if we have any issues with the contract, that we actually have a legal mechanism to refer to. It really isn't much different than the last several years, except we're executing a contract. Salt did go up again. So for Morton, this year it's $71.82 a ton, and for Easton it's $85.90 a ton. As an explanation, Mr. Chairman, the cooperative bid includes two of the top two bidders as a primary and a secondary. So we are required by the contract, as we have in past years, to give 70% of the work, the materials, to the lowest bidder and 30% to the secondary.
Did you say that was $85.90 a ton?
$85.90 a ton. And $71.82 from Morton. So 70% of our business will go to Morton, and 30% of our business will go to Eastern. And that is the way the contracts have been written for many years. And Morton and Easton have been the successful bidders for the past several years.
Yeah.
If the board's interested, last year, Morton was 62.20 and Eastern was 64.50. And the year before that, which is where we saw the big jump, was last year. In fiscal year 21, Morton was 46.69 and Eastern was 46.50. So you can see that's a substantial increase from fiscal year 21. That's a 63% increase.
Yeah. How many tons do we usually use on average? I know it can be dramatically different.
Last year we used 2,300 ton. Year before that we used 2,600.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I saw it projected in there. I was gonna ask the same question.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what I saw.
Yeah.
So somewhere between
Great.
23 and 2,600.
That's what we used the last
Most
couple of
likely.
years.
It's not what we used the year we were getting 2 feet of snow every weekend for 6 weeks. We used a little more that year. Okay.
That was back when salt was $30.
Yeah, exactly. Not less.
More bad.
So,
Yes.
Unbelievable.
It's a good point, Mr. Chairman. Our current budget, I think, is around 260, 270, something like that. If you do some
Yeah.
quick math, at 2,600 ton, that's a couple $100,000. That's most of our snow and ice budget right there.
Yep. That's why I asked. It's not right? 63% increase is a 63% increase. It's a big number.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have no other questions.
All right. I'll entertain a motion. Thank you.
All right. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize the town manager to sign the contracts with Morton Salt in the amount of $71.82 per ton, and with Eastern Minerals in the amount of $85.90 per ton, both for the provision of rock salt for road maintenance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. We'll talk to you later.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night. All right. Mr. Town Manager?
So the next item for the board's consideration is acceptance and signing of MassWorks grant award. So in your packet is the standard contract with Commonwealth of Massachusetts for accepting the grant award in the amount of $275,000. This is a pre-planning award. Back in the summer, we applied for water and sewer infrastructure improvements to Milford Street through the MassWorks program. We did not have engineering in place when we applied for that, so this pre-construction grant award will allow us to do that necessary engineering, basically taking water and sewer from right here in the center, bringing it up Milford Street to the property that is currently the site of the proposed Governor's Landing. It'll also allow us to connect into non-residential properties along the way to additional. Working with Dennis, we're ready to send our in-house engineering consultant the scope of work that's identified in these documents so that they can start working on contract language to actually start at the beginning of the year to do this engineering work.
Great. Questions?
I'll accept $275,000.
Again, I can't put my eyes on it just this minute, but there's a projection of what the project would cost. Can you share that with us?
So we don't really have an estimate outside of that. There's documentation in there that it's not going to exceed $3 million for part of the engineering work, or it has to be broken up so that there was a maximum award for construction that should have been mentioned that the state for any one project would do a $3 million award. Otherwise, you'd have to actually break that into 2 different projects. Realistically for this, 5,000, at most 5,000 feet, because the sewer actually ends right at the bridge. We're just extending it a little bit to connect the community center. Water does go further up. So you're looking at about 3,500 to 4,000 linear feet of water versus the 5,000 for sewer. We also do overlap with the 140 tip project. So, for example, if we were to get the mass works and put in water and sewer, we'd want to time that before the state comes in and does that tip project. That, of course, because there's going to be the improvements as part of that, we're not dealing with trying to do, say, mill and overlay for a portion here and then connect all the way up. So there's going to be some cost savings, but there was a limit as far as the total amount of work for construction they would do, and that's capped at $3 million. As part of this project, we're going to then identify what that ultimate budget is. But, you know, realistically, there's going to be some cost savings because we're basically going to have to dovetail it into that tip project.
And so this, obviously, the 275 is for the initial design and engineering. And
This really should take us through preparing bidding documents as well.
preparing bidding documents. And then do we expect that there would be MassWorks money potentially for the actual construction?
Correct. Our intention would be to apply for construction funding when the round in calendar year 2023 opens up. For MassWorks for construction, all we need to do is basically be at 25%. So the timeline shows us working through and preparing final construction documents through 2023 into the beginning of 2024. We apply using 25% design plans, you know, middle of the summer. They don't award until November. We'll continue to make progress based on communication with the state. So then by the time they do award, late November, we're basically in a position to say, okay, in a couple months, we're ready to advertise. And that way we can do that over the winter into 2024 for dovetailing in with that tip project. That tip project realistically would not go out for construction until for 2025 So there's a tight window that we can make. There's a little bit of flexibility, but
Of a window to,
the good thing is this is not from an engineering standpoint, it's not a complicated project because there's already been some basic engineering done, working with the governor's landing engineer,
because they did
looking at the one. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and got a road, shooting the pipe up that direction.
well, in this, right there, I mean, we spent a lot of time and conversation around the cross country, you know,
Right.
utilities and just, so this solves that. It gets us up 140. It gives the businesses access
We've
to.
done the sea of
It's
lines, all
just-
and all these other issues that you
And
can't miss.
yeah, and
Yep.
if we can do it and not have to, you know, put it on the taxpayers by spending $1 million or $2 million, it's phenomenal. So this is a really, hopefully the beginning of what will be a really, really great process. So, yeah, excellent.
I wonder, as you mentioned, a $3 million project, kind of a cap, so to say. And they have an estimate in here. I thought I read somewhere it was 3.2 or 3.4, whatever that number is. And of course, unfortunately, prices continue to escalate as we just learned with salt. I wonder if there's preliminary steps, right? Does it cost X number of dollars to get to the bottom of the hill and then X number of dollars to get to the top of the hill? So what do we do if it's, you know, not affordable for us, let's just say, to complete the whole project?
Right. Like, do we take it $3 million of the way?
Right. And then at least
Or
say,
lock something in sooner while it's
Yeah.
cheaper, like phase it in some way, right?
yeah, I mean, the reality also is the owners of the Governor's Landing project expect to have some cost, right? They're
Yes.
Spending to spend
That's
6 to
the
800.
exact piece that right now we don't have that documented. So if they were going to be spending $1 million to do the cross country, there's some contribution. We're just not there yet to identify as part of
Yeah.
that. So
And they've said
That's
that,
all.
they've been very open about that, saying, hey, we're not gonna pay for the whole thing, but we understand we'd have to pay something to
There's-
get here from Grove
right,
Street.
there's some work that would need to be done,
Yeah.
and
Because they talked
That's
about
what-
waiving some connection fees or so that they
Right.
could offset the cost of the town, so
right,
there's.
exactly. So
everything
that's
done.
where there is that opportunity to work together, and that's what this phase will allow for us to do. We've already had just a touch base meeting to talk about what this process would look like, what our steps would be based on this award, what a basic timetable was. They've been very willing to engage in those conversations. They recognize the benefit for everyone, including their project and us.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to have to really worry about phasing the project when all is said and done.
Great.
Okay.
And we'll, you want to make a motion?
I have it. Or do you have it, Martin?
I don't have.
Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen accept the award of the MassWorks grant in the amount of $275,000 and authorize the town manager to sign associated contracts.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you. Next up, we want to review the draft community center dedication plaque. That your item, Mr. Flaherty?
I can. Make.
Great, please.
As you know, construction has been going on just about a year. And originally, I think we talked about 395 construction days. Well, that's long in the review mirror. Any type of delay you could think of, we haven't encountered. Right? I took solace in one issue, and that's the fact that if you look at the building now on this side of the brook, all those windows across the back, there's no windows in those. Okay? The last couple of days, I went by the new place where the Kennedy Center is building, and Oberster is putting the building down there by McDonald's, and everything goes, you know what? They don't have any windows either. So it's not a situation unique to us. We get the small windows, they're all in. The doors, we can see where they're coming from. But back to this. As you know, it took a long time to get this project to where it is now. A lot of people were involved in it. And if you look at the buildings that we've renovated, worked on in the past few years, they all have inside the door somewhere, they have a dedication plaque. And Mr. Manager and I were talking about how we thought this might present itself. And Joe says, well, they should be consistent. Well, I took pictures of all the dedication plaques at the town hall, the police station, the fire station, the highway barn, and the only consistency is that they are inconsistent.
They say Upton, right?
Yes.
That's probably the only consistent.
Well, most of them have the town seal, but the highway barn doesn't have the town seal. So in any event, originally the building committee had a drawing that was put forth by the architect that had the names of everybody on the library trustees and everybody on the council on the aging and all. We just wait a minute. We got to bring this back to reality. And of course, understand that this project is taking place under, lack of a better term, two different regimes. It was started under Derek. It's going to be completed under Joe. We have a new director for the elder services. The library director is still the same. So basically, the committee just looked at this and said, okay, how are we going to do this? So keeping consistent with the rest of the other things, most of the names of the building committee are here, are on the other ones. The department for which the building is intended, that fluctuates. It does say it for the police station and the fire station. So this is what we propose going forward, to recognize the previous manager and director of elder services and the current manager and the current very fresh face new director of elder services. And this is what the committee is proposing. If you look at some of these plaques in the town, there is a date that says the year. Okay, well, we were thinking about it, and we're looking right now, we're looking for the mid-March to occupy. It's gonna take a while to get the kinks worked out. There are some things that can't be done, like the plantings and some of the site work, outside work. That can't happen until April. There's a planting period from April to June. So we're saying, if we're not done by June 14th, which is the date, the anniversary date of the town, we got some big problems. So we're reasonably certain that everything will be complete by that day. And so we were asking that you just give your seal of approval on that. This is not on the agenda, but there is, we are going with basically the same signs that were over there for the playground. And because of the additional $500,000 plus that came from the Community Preservation Fund, it was felt that that had to be recognized in the new reimagined sign. So we're not sure if we're going to be able to revise this sign, or we may have to make some additions to it. But at the bottom of the new sign, the contribution of the Community Preservation Fund will be recognized. So, other than that, still in the budget.
Comments, input? There is actually one thing that it was pointed out, and there's a good chance that come June 14th, 2040, that should I retire, I will not be the current town manager of Upton at that point. And that maybe we should just delete the current informer next to myself and Derek. And again, with the other staff, just, this is going to live on in perpetuity as long as that building is standing upright. And we don't want to think that they're current. It's one thing just to sort of raise how to best do it, but
that's fine. And we had this conversation. We had this conversation. I'll give you an example. In one of my adventures of trying to come up with how we wanted this dedication plaque to look, I have the picture of the dedication plaque from when they redid the Plymouth Town Hall a couple of years ago. And Derek said to me, he says, look, he says, you see there's 5 selectmen. If you look, there's 6 names there. Because between the time the project started and the project finished, one guy.
I just added.
One guy left, so they put both names on. So as far as that goes, if you're comfortable with it, and I suppose you do the same thing on the other side. But this, again, this is just a draft. The architect is still working on it. I think it has to come back to have the fonts approved and the size approved and all that. So.
Other questions, feedback?
I have a question and then a comment, which is actually going to spin into 2 questions. With regard to the playground, you said that you're going to have on there that, this is funded through Community Preservation Act money. And there was a comment, the previous playground was dedicated to a longtime Upton resident, Mo Capistrand. Are we going to have any mention of his name on the new plaque? Because I think it was discussed at the
original plaque, Steve. Was taken up from where it was, brought to the highway barn before it, for safekeeping. It was replaced Friday, I believe. Reset over here at the new place. The same plaque, the same monument. The sign that I'm talking about still has the.
You're talking about the dedication for Mr. Capistrano.
Yes. Okay, that's there.
Yes.
And that is part of that's part of the shared parking agreement, that the playground will be rededicated in honor of Mo Capistrano.
Okay.
So there is, and again, basically, where the playground sign does have all the names of the original contributors.
To that project.
Who put money up that went to the development of it. By the way,
The original.
and while you're speaking of the playground, the rubber surface went down today, or yesterday, finished. So there's still a lot of work to be done over there. The playground's not
Plug it away.
It's not gonna open until, the spring.
Yeah.
Much to the dismay of several people.
I'm sorry, taking out the current informer, I think is great. My only other question would be, make sure people's names are the way they want them written. Like, I don't know if you want Maggie or Margaret or Kim Care or other people.
We already,
You did that already.
Mr. Atkinson already did that, completed that exercise.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Great. Okay.
That was my other question. So Joe, you were talking about that. So as you want the name town manager, but you don't want the two managers' names on there? Is that what we're saying?
No, we want the names. We just don't want it to say current informer because that doesn't make any sense.
Just
It looks cheesy.
look
Got
at
it, because as time moves forward, it may not be.
Won't be current.
Right, we don't
Yeah.
know.
And before you even said that, I was like, former just sounds
See, that's
weird. So it just makes sense to just,
And I think
we
we're.
don't need to be that technically specific, like just, it's great.
Days.
Something, right? You put in years, do you, right? But like first finish, start to finish, like, yeah, just put the names on there. It's fine.
So one of the questions was.
He never said the change.
Love your middle one.
The other, it should be, and the other one is Don, should be Donald, it should be formal names. Do you know what I mean?
That's why.
We always sign.
That's why.
With-
Just not worry about that.
Yeah. So that Steve Brackett went around and asked everybody except for you. But everybody, good.
If the
Okay.
name is spelled correctly, how bad?
We're
do you
gonna,
feel?
Maureen would like to add her middle initial to her name to be consistent.
No comment?
No.
Do you need a pen?
This is probably gonna be a $2,500 change order.
No.
I think not. I think just we should triple check on names, and in my opinion, I don't think we should have nicknames. I think we should have real names. I don't think we should have Mike. It should be Michael. We shouldn't have Don. We should have Donald. And if they want their middle initial, I think we should ask them.
We will, like I said, Steve Braxton addressed this with them.
It's a
We're meeting next week. We will address that. This is not the,
I don't see it. The only nickname I see on here is
D,
Don.
D.
Oh, D, okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then,
gotcha.
and make sure that this Janice want Reed in there, so I don't know.
So.
Okay.
Never
So as
easy,
of
Paul.
but
Never easy.
the format and everything.
Format's great.
I just would like to point out one thing, that if you look on both of them, the thing I just showed to Steve, which I'm sorry I didn't show you, it says citizens of Upton. Basically, that was just an acknowledgement that the people of the town voted to support it, particularly with respect to the playground. Because basically, there are two separate projects here, even though they are combined.
Okay, so I wasn't sure about that, if that was there as like part of a template that we're going to reuse. So both the Council on Aging and Citizens of Upton, when I looked at that, I thought, well, that's weird that it's blank. There's no Citizens of Upton. But then I thought, okay, well, that's there because they want to have every single plaque look exactly the same. But if it's in fact, we're trying to recognize the citizens of Upton, we should probably do something different than the way it is. Because the way it is now, to me, it looks like it's citizens of Upton blank, none of them. Council on Aging blank, no one from the Council on Aging, because everything else is a label with names. So I don't know if you like take out the underline, if you say recognition to the Council on Aging and the citizens of Upton. I don't know.
I would
Just
sir,
giving you my 2 cents.
I get your point, but I've gone around and looked at all these things.
I know.
Go to any town you want, and,
Whatever you want.
you tell me what you want, and we'll put it there. It's only money, The citizens of Plymouth. That's the citizens of Plymouth came from the one that Mr. Brindisi sent me. It has citizens of Plymouth.
But
It's center,
it's the formatting.
yeah.
So I support having the citizens of Upton, and I support.
You just want it a
Aging.
different position.
I just want it so that it doesn't look like we're not recognizing a single citizen of Upton.
I think,
You
well,
understand what I'm saying from a formatting perspective?
yes.
It looks like there should be names under the citizens of Upton instead of just citizens of Upton.
I-
It's like a headline.
Our council on aging has no names under it.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Paul.
Primary trustees have no name under it.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
You want names under it? How big do you want this to be?
Paul, I'm not listening. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we should try to come up with some solution that recognizes these three groups in a way that is clearer.
All right, we'll see what we can do.
That's all I'm saying. I don't
You mean design?
totally just like design. It could be a font. It could be take out the underline underneath them. It could be all citizens of Upton. Just something so that it doesn't look like a label with a blank under. That's all.
I think what you said, this is basically the format.
The content is correct.
Yeah.
The
The
content.
format is great. The design is great. I love it. It's just those little. So if that's to be done, then great.
Take care of it. Get that.
Thank you, sir.
You can make it as big as you want.
It's not a question of making it bigger. It's just a question of making sure it's clear, Paul.
If I could just make a couple of quick comments. I will say, working on the other committee that I'm working on, when you ask and you get a group of people together, the points you've made have probably already been made, and somebody has probably decided to change it. Now, that's not saying that you're not right, because I agree with something that you said. But what I'm saying is we had situations when people pulled things out of the survey questions and then went ahead at the next
You need a
meeting
decider.
and said,
Paul's
put it
the
back in.
decider. I'm giving you my feedback.
That's my comment. Now let me make a suggestion. Hang on just 1 second now. Again, I wouldn't muddy this up too much because I'm
We
sure.
don't intend, first off, we don't intend to be white. It's going to be,
Bronze. I think what would, again, as Sandy had mentioned, I think I would just take citizens of Upton and put it under the word dedicated June 14, 2023. Because then when you read it, it almost looks as it's dedicated to the citizens of Upton. So I think from a formatting standpoint, I think I would just simply take that over here. Now you could probably move the town manager column in here somewhere. And then that way you wouldn't have so many names on the left side and so few names on the right side. That's my only suggestion. I would just tuck and maybe larger font, right? Because we really want to recognize the citizens. So the
with
citizens.
that, or where the date is now, leave the date there, recognizing the citizens of Upton above it, June 14th, 2023.
Yeah, it could be above it. Sure,
And
that's,
just keep
that's
that
fine
in
as
the
well.
middle, put the citizens, dedicated to the citizens of Upton, June 14th, 2023.
Yeah.
He's not listening to me. He never listens to me.
Okay. I just want to make sure you guys know that.
You'll get them offline, Maureen, won't you?
Of course I will.
Committee coming up.
But if we slide that over, we're going to have obviously a hole over here. So I think that it probably would make sense to just move town manager down here maybe, or to the top, whichever makes more
I
sense.
just wanted this, but I guarantee you, your three names will be there.
If we can save some money, you can take my name off it. How's that?
We're paid by the letter.
Take out the middle initials. All right, let's go. We're done. Good. Thank you. Do we need a motion? I did
Yes,
see a
we do.
motion in here, so let's make sure we get Sir clarity what he needs.
Yeah.
Up to you, Maureen.
Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the dedication plaque as presented and pending non-substantive changes such as revisions to names and initials.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries by unanimous action, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a good night.
Paul. All kidding aside, thank you.
I'm sorry.
I said, all kidding aside, thank you.
All right, no problem. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
He's thrilled. All right. Next up, we have town manager report.
Okay. So minus anything that's going to be, that was either discussed earlier or later on in the meeting. Following is basically some highlights as far as what's going on in town. The election was certified and town clerk let us know the final numbers ended up being 3,947 out of Upton's 6,336 registered voters, participated in the election. That's 62%, but some just more interesting details. Out of those, 1,866 were early votes, so 47% of the total vote count. 40 were absentee, 450 in person early, but 1,376 were by mail. So just sort of goes to show as far as the work that goes into the election, a lot of the effort as far as the amount of time town hall is open for people to come in. But the majority of the votes before election day all had to be mailed out, processed. So there's a lot of work. Once you see the numbers, it really shows the work that the town clerks
More than half of significantly more than half of the votes that were cast were not on election day.
Between the absentee.
just under 50%. 47% were early.
In mail-in, how many were mail?
Person too.
Out of those,
That was the subset of the early voting, because early voting is mail.
so 53% were on the day, but still 47%. That's still a lot of work that downstairs is doing leading up to the
Exactly.
So the 47th combination of those two numbers.
Yes.
That's what I was, that's what I mean.
So, finance department is going to be this week releasing the October revenue reports as well as November expenditure reports. They filed for the FY23 tax recap, so we should be getting final approval for the tax rate this week shortly, coming in from the state. Also, Treasurer Collector's Office has been working to revise timesheets, and if we didn't have a sewer line back up, we would have had a department head meeting that would have distributed those said timesheets. So we're meeting next week and we're going to review with departments basically new timesheets. The intent is that every single department sort of does things differently, and we can be more efficient in our payroll department, standardizing things, having things submitted electronically so that we can basically just import things in rather than having everything keyed in manually. So we're continuing to look for efficiencies in our Treasurer Collector's Office. That goes along with working with HR. We're going to be rolling out Employee Forward, which using our existing payroll software allows for employee staff greater access to tax forms, paycheck stubs, pay history, deductions. And it's just part of making sure that we can give employees more access. This is all stuff we already pay for in our existing payroll software. So we're basically just trying to implement more ways to give employees access to information that they usually end up asking us for anyways.
Right. Who's sort of leading that?
Sandy and Jess.
Thank you. That's great.
Real-time information.
It's awesome. It just makes everybody's lives easier and it makes the customer experience better, customers being the employees, so.
Yeah. Also, the finance department is working with DPW staff to have the next set of water and sewer bills go out using our same lockbox vendor that we use for our property taxes, excise tax. So water and sewer currently are only either they're paid online, but it's all handled by office staff downstairs. So basically we're moving for the next round, which should be going out in January, to then have lockbox process those. Again, trying to implement some steps to make things more efficient downstairs.
And that is something, that's, when we did that for real estate taxes, obviously I think by and large it goes pretty seamlessly, but it seems like there are some residents that have hiccups with that process, or something got mailed and lost or whatever. So we're prepared for that kind of thing.
Yes.
Right. I know it's the minority. It's sort of a few people here and there, but we're going to have more of that. The more we automate and follow that same process,
Exactly.
the more operational risk there is to that.
Exactly.
But
And that's where, if you may recall, when we had the consultants in helping us over the summer. I forwarded out some recommendations that they had, and some were on some steps we already implemented as far as when things don't match up, sending it back so we can handle it, rather than also having to cache things and then we don't have terrorists and any of this stuff. We're just trying to take value.
So
So
some of those changes
it's,
address that.
we've already addressed some of those things, so that
Good.
if there are things that need to come back reconciled, then we already have that in place. But you're talking about 95% of the bills go through correctly, and you're really looking with a small few. So that's something that we're working on implementing. Sort of working over to DPW. They had recently, in the last season of when they finished up paving, completed $800,000 worth of paving. Took them approximately 8 construction days and was about 5 miles in length.
Nice.
Grove Street engineering is well underway. You may have noticed at the bridge there was a boring machine. That's to do engineering for not only the footings for the bridge, but also make sure subsurface conditions as they're doing that design. They anticipate that they'll be ready for a 25% design hearing sometime end of January, beginning of February for that. So they're moving along pretty quickly.
Love it.
You may recall when we identified the streets that were going to be worked on this coming season, we talked about Fisk Street being one of those. Engineering is being done. One engineering contractor is doing the design work for replacing the water main that goes through Fisk. The other is working on road reconstruction, drainage, granite curbing, sidewalks. That is anticipated to be finalized for then bidding out those things in that January-February timeframe as well. And a different contractor is working on, with Dennis, on finalizing the bid specs for publishing in January 2023 for the wastewater treatment plant generator, as well as the improvements to the 2 water tanks. These were both funded at the May 2nd annual town meeting. So those things are moving along. Just mentioned as part of the MassWorks discussion, consulting company is starting to work on scope of services to contract for the MassWorks grant. Last thing is that have a date now for the Route 140 tip project. That would include basically, think of the existing tip project that still isn't finished. State and that contract are going to have to resolve some issues and come back and finish up in the spring. But this is going to also include the roundabout out front at Grove Street, Milford, and Main Street. And public hearing for that 25% design hearing is right now scheduled for January 27th. They said that they would be getting me the plan shortly so that we can work with them on public outreach, coordinating, getting things out to the public for comments, start to digest. So that's moving forward as well.
Awesome. Are there, somewhat related, talking about Fisk Ave and sidewalk design, and I know Steve, you've asked about this many, many times, using ARPA funds or some other funds for sidewalks. And I know we've talked about this, but I'm just reminded that I don't have the answer top of mind. I know particularly we were looking at the Pleasant Street between
the school and
Yeah,
West
Upton
Upton
and
is
West
something that I
Upton.
think that we've kind of tossed it around in various either workshops.
Yeah,
So
so that one in
On
particular was the one I was thinking of, but also just sort of in general. What is the opportunity there?
So I had sent off to the board sort of like a response from town council that identified that we are able to identify use of ARPA funds as revenue replacement, and it's up to $10 million. So we fall within a category that if we were a larger community that had the benefit of actually receiving more than we did, we have this exemption, for using this money as revenue replacement, we'd have a little bit more requirements here. We can identify that and identify it towards those types of projects, whether it is sidewalks. When you look at pedestrian facilities outside of the revenue replacement method, you then have to bring in basically poverty, which is poverty level income requirements based on the census tract on where that pedestrian improvement is. So ARPA does have specific criteria for pedestrian improvements, but it's tied to whether or not it's a low income area. Revenue replacement, because we're under the $10 million threshold for that, just makes it easier for us to do and gives us more flexibility. Okay. So one of the things when I have the department head meeting, I'm going to be reviewing with them our last conversation as far as looking for ideas. That understand that we may get $10-15 million worth of projects for the 2.4 that we have. However, that allows for a good community conversation as far as really what
that process is still moving on.
Yep, exactly. And again, we don't, we can take our time. We just have to then have commitments by December 2024 and then total expenditure by 2026. So it's not like we have a immediate deadline. We need to come up with this. So we can take advantage of unique specific projects with ARPA and majority, we can take our time to figure that out.
And this is probably a little bit of a lead into our sort of priorities conversation that we can have now or later. But okay, all right. That's all for me for questions. Any other questions? No? Okay. We can move on to the voting to open the annual town meeting warrant on December 9th. That was fast.
Yeah, hard to believe, huh?
It's a little too quick. Sounds like we're just at the special town meeting.
Wait a minute.
So it does feel good. You were approaching winter and we're already thinking out about
The spring, that's right. Spring is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, conversation?
Just general lead in, how many days will we have the warrant open for, Joe?
I didn't actually count it up, but it's the same amount that we've historically done.
Okay. Looks like more than 45 days anyways. Okay. I'm good. If everybody's good, I can read.
I'm good. Have at it. Good. Please, sir.
All right. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 10, and Town Code, Chapter 100, to open the warrant for the Thursday, May 4th, 2023 annual town meeting on Wednesday, December 9th, 2022, and to close said warrants on Friday, January 27th, 2023 at noon. Said annual town meeting to be held at Nipmuc Regional High School, 90 Pleasant Street, Upton, Mass. 01568.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Next, we have the contract approval for Civic Plus for the website redesign.
Sorry, if I could just back up on that last item. I did want to highlight that. I just heard an alarm.
That's a horn.
That was
Okay. Sorry, I'm Ellie Slate. I'm
Ellie Square of Upton. We'll let you know if there's any.
I did want to let the board know, as well as anyone who happens to watch this meeting later on, that department heads were provided, as well as the board finance committee, capital budget committee, on FY24 budget guidelines. Identifying that. And we saw a perfect example with our DPW director. Costs continue to escalate just for providing the existing same level of service. That's going to continue to have an impact on formulating our budgets, as not only goods and materials escalate, but then we're seeing that in some of our contract language, and then that becomes a balance as we're dealing with majority of our budget is also staff, whether it's police officers, DPW workers, people working in our finance department. So basically asking that people maintain existing levels of service, not looking for new programs and capabilities coming on board, because we recognize for the community center, there'll realistically be some needs because of increased foreseen demand over there, and that, basically look at things on a case by case basis and have department heads prepare those justifications and, those pros and cons on what they're facing.
Thank you. All right. Contract for the website design.
So this one of the things in sort of looking at use for ARPA funds, at our last meeting, I had thrown up the concept as far as using a very small amount for updating the town's website. This is something that a lot of towns are doing in order to improve their communication, get information out and out to the residents. And I included email conversations that I had with our current website host and provider, Civic Plus. They are, I guess the right word would be offering a special coming into the holiday season, where they had originally estimated 35, which when I was in Grafton, that's what it cost us to do that back then. They are offering basically a reduced amount off, so 30%. So the cost bringing it down to just over $25,000 for the redesign. We've already paid our basically FY23 to FY24 maintenance contract, so we get a once things are finished, then we get a credit for what we already paid for the ongoing. We pay an annual license for maintaining the website. So asking for the board support in considering basically starting this effort. These efforts usually take about 4 to 6 months to do. That lines us up coming into town meeting, sort of a good time to be able to sort of really bring out information to the whole town in a new fashions.
Okay. Questions?
I was originally surprised, just thinking 25,000 and change is quite high to redesign a website, was originally what I was thinking. But then when you think about the hosting and, again, as you mentioned in the past, it was 35,000, I suppose makes it probably in line with today's pricing.
Okay. Great. I'm excited.
I am too.
Yeah, good. Love it. Love a good updated website design. Have some people on it. I know we will.
Yeah.
You really,
I know
you
we're gonna
really
have to.
sound confident.
I know. No, we are. I'm very confident. Humans. Maybe some nice pictures. All right.
I wonder if we could have a weekly update on our website, just talking about town business, if that may spark some interest. I think I've seen that.
Town manager's page.
Town
Yes.
manager. Joe's like, oh.
No, believe. I mean, that's one of those things, and trying to identify and how to have it in an engaging manner than just a long run-on email that I could easily take what I sent to you, just put that on, but I want it to be a little bit more engaging because it just gets lost.
Yeah.
And bullet points just aren't effective. So it does help as far as being able to
like a
pull together.
organized by issues, right? Because people sort of care about issues. They don't necessarily want to like, hey, what Joe do this week, right? They want to know what's going on with the Grove Street Bridge, right? What roads do they pave this year? You know,
Well, you know what, or people will want to know, why is that particular piece of equipment sitting in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Right? So now, if you put, or there's a great fact, I made a little note about the paving.
Yeah.
People want to say, all right, what did we spend? What roads were done? We can mention it, but there's only X number of people that listen and will pay attention and whatnot. So if we had just that even today's manager's report is really quite helpful, even if you didn't talk about the voting stats.
Yeah.
If you just talked about
Yeah.
the construction phase and what we're dealing with, and of course, what we're dealing with here at Town Hall. Just those are interesting facts that I think would draw people in
Mhm.
and keep them on weeks or 3 weeks, just to kind of review what's going on.
And I think that with all the construction happening on,
Yeah.
they're interested in how it's going to affect the traffic or
Yeah.
hold up or congestion and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
You just put roundabout on the center of the front page and see how many clicks you get. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot.
Much less than Rotary. right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. That's the theory anyway. We should put both of them up and see which one gets
See
more
which one,
clicks.
right. See which leads the way.
I digress. Okay, I don't have any more questions on this one.
But the 800 pipe and 800K in paving, and then you mentioned the roads that were done, people say,
Yeah.
it's interesting, 5 miles of roadway were
Yeah.
done. It's an interesting fact and
Yeah,
it's a
right.
quite.
That's just like a little one-liner, right? It's not a big article. It's just
Right.
Just one.
Mhm.
good stuff. I will take a motion.
Ready?
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize the town manager to execute a contract with Civic Plus in the amount of $25,809.32 to be funded by the town's opera.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries by unanimous action. We have the annual common victular entertainment and class 2 license renewals. All listed on this beautiful one page for our handy reference. Thank you.
I know, that's all they like. Joe goes, what else? I said, nothing.
We're good.
One page only.
Beautiful. Yeah. Questions, comments, discussion, anything?
Well,
you wanna
as
say
I've
before we
done in
start?
the past, I'll need to recuse myself for the class 2. So why don't I step away and I'll let the board handle that business.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say any comments on any of the other things, because we'll probably do this as maybe one motion, but do you want us to separate them? We can do it as 3 motions if you want to come back for the other 2, or you can just let us know if you have questions on the other 2.
Sure, why don't I recuse myself and we can
And we'll
do the
come
other 2 and
Yep.
I'll participate in those, but I'll
Yep.
keep my,
Yep.
keep myself and my opinions away from the other.
Got it.
All right.
All right. Sandy, anything on the class 2s?
No, just, like I said, some are still in the process of getting the final check marks. And so I think that's an motion contingent upon.
Successful inspections, yeah, okay. Any questions? All right, we'll do one motion for the class 1, 2, and 3 licenses, and then we'll invite Steve back. Okay.
I move that the board vote to approve the following license renewal application contingent on successful inspections for the following. Second.
Do you want to
Oh, you
read
done?
the,
You can just read the names.
Yeah.
so just in that first top block?
Italian Motors, McKeith Sales, Gasco, MGM Auto, Atuzza's Automotive Inc., Nala Equipment Corporation Incorporated, Patrick Davidson, Precision Auto Center, Upton Truck and Auto, Upton Foreign Auto Service, Upton Getty, including BP, and Corner.
Second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, majority action. All right, we're good, Steve. Hi-ho. So next up for entertainment, we've got Aguacate Grill LLC and Red Rock Grill and Bar.
That's the Rose Garden.
That's what I
TBA.
was assuming that, but I was gonna ask, okay. You knew we were gonna ask. Yeah, that's it. So is it aguacate?
Aguacate.
Can't help you with that.
Aguacate? Yeah, agua is Spanish, right? So maybe
Yeah,
it's aguacate.
It is strange.
The Google. Not to totally
Pronunciation.
digress. No, I want to know what the word means.
Oh, what it means. I think it's a
I
location.
think the agua. would be
Avocado.
water, so-
Avocado.
It's an avocado.
Avocado.
Is that-
Aguacate. Oh, I guess I'll probably have how I pronounce it. Look at that.
Oh,
That's it. Avocado. I bet they're gonna have guacamole.
I love guacamole.
That's my sense. Oh, here we go. Ready? Everybody listen. Shh.
Wakati,
Aguacate.
wakati.
All right, there we go. New restaurant in town, Aguacate.
Okay.
Come on, come on. Get
Not
your
on the
guac.
sign out, right?
Yeah, it's not on sign up front yet. All right, very good. I will take a motion for the entertainment licenses.
Steve can do that.
Okay. Do you want to list them individually? Okay.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion that the board vote to approve the following license renewal applications for entertainment licenses for Agua Tecate Grill LLC and the Red Rock Grill and Bar.
A second.
And I will make a friendly amendment that they're contingent on successful inspections if they haven't already been completed. And I will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. And we'll do the same for our victualers.
I move that the board vote to approve the following license renewal applications contingent on successful inspections for the following. Aquacati Grill LLC, Country Club Soup, Red Rock Grill and Bar, KB Holdings, 118 Main Street Pizza, C&N Food Services Incorporated, Dunkin' Donuts, Dick Kelly's Farm Stand, Honey Farms Incorporated, Kevin Lou Incorporated, J Garden, SBD Incorporated, Little Coffee Bean, Breakfast at Stephanie's, Upton House Pizza, BBT, BFW, J&J's Ice Cream Shop, Imperial Cars, Former Gas Stove, Lakeville, Millwood.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you. And final on the agenda, we have updates of the 2021 priorities.
So in the packet, I included the FY21 priority tracker document. This is on the town manager's page, and thought it would be a good opportunity to sort of revisit this, especially as we're talking about other goals. Unfortunately, due to the sewer backup, I did not finish sort of an edit of this. So I don't know if you have any thoughts. Otherwise, we could just push this off to the next meeting and have more of a conversation. And I'll make sure I add to this to make sure that we add a goal of removing the sewer cover from within the sewer line so that this never, ever happens.
Hey, the
again.
fact that they found it, I mean, it's been, right? Like, this has been from day one. This is good news, right? Like, it was so,
There was no rhyme or reason.
nobody could understand it.
Reason.
Not figure. Like, was it a new plumber or a new company, or like, who found it?
They came in October and they cleared through the line and they cameraed it, but they didn't see it. So because it happened so quickly, they're like, we got to take our time. And when they're going through, they caught an edge and they're like, what is this? And they sort of nudged it and it caused it to fall down a little bit. So that picture that I sent to you, seeing the word Smith on it, they're like,
That's what it is.
because I saw the initial image where it's like just a little crescent on the top going,
What is
what
that?
is that? Is it a break or
They're
whatever?
looking
And
really, really closely because they're like, something's not right.
exactly.
You see the writing right on it.
Yeah.
So, and it was acting as a baffle. Basically, it would just dislodge something, hit it.
Once something caught it.
Right. And so even when this morning I was a little nervous because as they were trying to dislodge it, what they were trying to do was push it out to the street. It goes from 4-inch to a 6-inch. So if they could get it through there, they could get it
out.
And we had sewer crew and police officer trying to but it actually got stuck in a sort of a downward position and it wasn't moving for a little bit. And they finally got it to move again. And that's when it got lodged into a location where it's for a cleanup.
Yeah.
I did reach out to Kelly. She did let me know where she thinks the as-built plans are. So with the town clerk, we're gonna go searching in the vault tomorrow so we can find that. Worst case, Dennis's contractor has more specific equipment to actually do, again, sending almost a camera down, but to do a mapping underneath, almost like, GPS of what's there. And then once we identify where exactly that clean out is, then we can try to grab it. But it's good to know that we have an answer, because when Paul gave me a call saying they have another, I'm like,
What is going on?
no one was in on the weekend.
Right. And it just doesn't
Nothing
make
happened.
sense. Like, I mean, right? Like, it's a pipe. It's
Well, people
a
were
new
like,
pipe.
well, it's at,
100-year-old pipe. It's a pipe that they put in 10 years
What's
ago.
more confusing is like the span of time. We have no problem. It's like, okay, we fixed
And
it.
then all of a sudden,
Yeah, and the worst was in 2019 where we were tearing down walls, had to replace all the floor. So I was having like major PTSD.
Yeah.
It was, oh man. It was.
yeah, because we're getting increased demand for use of the building.
right?
So, I mean, at least it happened now versus like no one was in on the weekend.
Yeah.
If we had other people in and then it came out Monday,
Or if you were hosting an awesome party and it started backing up.
oh, that would have been a good.
Retirement party or what?
A retirement party or otherwise, or a
Right.
I don't think,
millennium
I
party.
don't think Joe knows that story.
Oh.
I'll let him know.
All right. Take that.
But you know, I believe from what I was told, the thinking was that it was outside of the building. The issue was outside of the building, but it was between the building and the actual sewer line on the street, right? That's kind of where everybody thought it was. Then when we burst pipe and sealed and repaired the pipe that leads from 140 up to the top of
Yeah.
School Street, essentially, once again, you feel like you've dotted your i's, crossed your t's. You absolutely
You
solved
got it.
that problem.
Yep.
The problem still, it persists.
Mhm.
So, which really ties into something on this, particular priorities list.
Yeah.
I'll share with the board and I'll share with Joe. That's something that I hear, being out and about in the community is people want to be able to use town hall for a variety of things. Maybe it's using a basketball court, maybe it's jumping rope, or perhaps, a few years back there were yoga classes or, some sort of a Pilates class or something like that. So it'd be nice to, carefully open up the hall so more people could use it. And I think one of the hiccups in the past why we haven't wanted to do that is we thought that the bathrooms and the sewer was a liability ultimately.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there's always been a process for people to use the
But-
town hall.
During COVID.
During COVID, it shut down, but it's just a question.
Years it's been like shut off.
Open it. Yeah.
But my understanding is one specific group, like something happened and then they had used it. So it was immediately then, well, you used it on the weekend. Monday morning, we found this, it's your fault. And so I had one person that's recently started using it saying, look, I'll lock the bathrooms. I'll tell them you can't use it. I'm like, that's not addressing the situation. We can't say, okay, you can use it, but you can't use the bathrooms. So gradually have been bringing people back so that it's not like open up the literal floodgates and have that show up downstairs on the basement floor.
Yeah.
This at least gives confidence, like, hey, we'll get this taken care of. And then it's just trying to figure out how it doesn't impact meetings and all those things. So like Thursday, there's an indoor girls soccer group that wanted to use it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, let's try it out because I don't know what the sound is going to be like up here. So our housing meeting is going to be up here on Thursday in this room. We'll know and we'll be able to, 'cause I don't have an understanding how loud things are. The group underneath,
I think previously Kelly used to say, like, if there were no meetings downstairs, it was okay.
Right, you can't have that meeting downstairs in the gym occupied, because it's just.
Too much, because they're right on top of you.
I don't think it's bad.
Up here, yeah, because you can because that closed off and then it closed off
Yeah.
this door and the
Yeah.
glass is there.
And we
You
can-
try it, obviously,
Yeah.
but I think,
Close the door.
Yeah.
But I think it's really, we were really pretty busy, but I think now that a lot of, the difference now is that a lot of meetings are hybrid.
Yeah,
We're not using the building for
Yeah.
meetings as much, so there may be a better opportunity to use the gym because we're not, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you couldn't use the gym because we had meetings.
the more use this building gets, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It's a beautiful jewel of the town.
Yep.
It should be shared widely. That's my perspective.
And, you know, we have.
Good point, Steve. I'm with you.
Very good.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah, if there's anything else that's sort of big, but let's give you a chance to sort of run through this a little bit, and then we'll come back to it next time. You guys okay with that?
Sure. Okay, that makes
And
sense.
I mean, we should share any other sort of initial comments or reactions if there's something where we're like, oh yeah, we definitely want to do that, right? Like, see anything. Yeah. Good. Okay. Good. All right. We don't have any minutes for today, so
Yeah, we do.
anything else?
Nothing else that comes to mind.
I'll take a motion.
I move that we adjourn the December 6, 2022 meeting.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor? Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you, folks.